Today, I want to talk about something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I want to talk about white privilege. Now, before anyone tightens up or shuts down, let me begin here. Everyone has privilege. Let's get that out of the way first. Men have privilege, women have privilege, Black folks have certain privileges, Asian folks have certain privileges, white folks have certain privileges. Privilege in itself is not a dirty word. It is not an accusation. It is not an insult. Privilege is simply the natural result of culture, society, and history. Privilege is complex. And if we don't dissect it carefully, thoughtfully, we end up arguing past each other instead of understanding one another. So when some white people say there's no such thing as white privilege, I understand why they might feel that way. If you grew up working hard, struggling, facing obstacles, it may not feel like privilege. But privilege is not about whether your life was easy. Privilege is about power and positioning within a system. And to understand white privilege, we have to talk about history. Power produces privilege. A result of power is privilege. Over the last 500 years, European powers, primarily white Western nations, colonized, ruled, and shaped much of the modern world. The structures of global trade, law, finance, language, education, borders, and political institutions were largely shaped by European colonial powers. About 200 years ago, the British Empire ruled roughly two-thirds of the world. That kind of dominance shapes the globe for generations. Language spreads, legal systems spread, economic systems spread, cultural norms spread. When your culture becomes the dominant template for how the world operates, that creates advantage. That creates privilege. The lion in the Serengeti. A lion in the Serengeti has power. Because of that power, strength, position in the ecosystem, the lion has privilege. Other animals respond differently to a lion than they do a gazelle. The lion does not have to argue for dominance. It exists within a structure where its power is recognized. We are animals too, Homo sapiens, but we organize ourselves into complex systems, legal systems, educational systems, financial systems, cultural hierarchies. So our privilege is layered, historical, and institutional. Everyone has privilege, but not the same kind. Privilege is contextual. Cultural privilege, economic privilege, gender privilege, geographic privilege, religious privilege, educational privilege. White privilege refers to the historical reality that Western European societies shaped much of the modern global order. When your group has historically defined the rules, the language, the norms, the aesthetic standards, the default assumption, you inherit advantages within that structure. Not because you asked for them, not because you personally conquered anyone, but because systems outlive individuals. If English is the dominant language of global commerce, aviation, science, and diplomacy, that benefits native English speakers. If legal and economic systems were designed within European frameworks, those frameworks feel normal to people raised inside them. That is privilege. Let's talk about why the conversation about privilege focuses mainly on white privilege. Historically, whiteness in the Western world was associated with institutional power, colonial governance, industrial revolution leadership, financial systems, global trade routes, military dominance. When power concentrates within a group for centuries, advantage accumulates, and that accumulated advantage becomes embedded in institutions. Privilege often feels invisible. Privilege is often invisible to the person benefiting from it. If the system feels normal to you, you do not experience it as advantage. You experience it as standard. Fish do not notice water, but those swimming upstream feel resistance. This is not an attack, it is an explanation. Explaining white privilege is not about shaming white people. It is not about denying hard work. It is not about claiming that every white person lives an easy life. It is about acknowledging how power shapes systems and how systems shape outcomes. If we cannot talk honestly about history, we cannot talk honestly about fairness. In closing, privilege is complex. It is historical, it is structural, it is often invisible to those who have it. Acknowledging it does not diminish anyone's hard work. It recognizes that power sustained over centuries leaves fingerprints on systems, and those fingerprints shape opportunity. Understanding that reality is not about division, it is about clarity. And clarity is the first step towards meaningful dialogue. My name is Dr. Ray. I hope you enjoyed this message.